Today's social media segment is brought to you by Terrebonne General Health System. Your health is our legacy. Rouse's, you're either local or you're not. Buick, the craft of modern luxury. St. Martin and Bork, know your rights.
Hello and welcome back to this edition of Bayou Time. Again, your host, Keith Weissite, licensed clinical social worker with Terrebonne Home Care. Very glad you're joining us, however you may be joining us. And we're always glad to welcome back to the program our parish president, Jason Bergeron. Jason, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, one of those things that we look at, I know you're one of those people, we've served on enough boards and we've worked together long enough that when you see something that you identify as an issue or a problem, you're going to immediately begin thinking about ways to do something about that. Let's talk a little bit about Mardi Gras, some of the things you had been thinking about and things that were put in place pretty early on.
Right. So, going into my administration, feeling like quality of life was an issue we needed to put some time and effort into, and looking at beautification and the opportunity to just make things look better. I felt like that was the low-hanging fruit. And so for Mardi Gras, I had the conversation that said, what can we do to keep more trash out of the bayou? And so tasked our different departments that deal with that. Next thing you know, we had felt on top of drainage on roadways. We had some nets on culverts that lead into the bayou. And then we also put some buoys at different levels down the bayou, going down the bayou, down Bayou Terrebonne, that if the trash did make it into the bayou, that we stopped it from getting into the intercoastal and really getting out into the estuary. So it was important to us. And we put a fence up on the bayou side, starting at the mall, so we did everything we could to help make sure that we put less trash into the bayou. And then, kind of that next step is to look around and say, okay, what can we do to put less trash on the ground that even has the opportunity to make it into the bayou? So,
right. So, a wonderful effort that was huge. And so it's obvious, Bayou Terrebonne is as beautiful as it's ever been in our area, right?
That's something that, especially working with like the group with Hatch Grant that I worked with, we launched a campaign that said "Start at the Heart," because I always felt the heart was Bayou Terrebonne. With Louisiana's Bayou Country, with a person in a pirogue on a logo, and we have limited access to our bayou, so we felt it was important. It's an amazing natural resources. There's some cities that have built, waterways in their town to mimic what we actually already have, and so to use as a resource, to make sure it's clean, to make sure we have good water flowing through it and less trash. I think it's important, and I've already heard a lot of people talk about they're seeing it, and I think when people start seeing it, it goes to that long-term effect of having better quality of life.
Yeah, it's really interesting to me with regards to Noah and those guys that their building is a very important part of my history. I was fortunate enough that growing up when I was much younger, I worked for Bloom and Bergeron, which was the building that was there before it became the distillery. And so my wife and I got to go and sit on the balcony and listen to some music at one of the festivals and really enjoyed it. But I'm sitting there thinking about the time some 30 years ago, or gosh, almost 40 years ago, where I would sit there taking a break at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning working at Bloom and Bergeron, and just the difference in the bayou in those years is dramatic to me. And so when I say it's more beautiful than I've ever seen it, over those 35 or 40 years, the cleanup has been done just in the last few years, right? And the focus it's been about the beautification of downtown. And that goes into all of the other really good things happening downtown. We've got some really wonderful things happening, and the cleanup is one of those that's important.
Right. And look, we started with Bayou Terrebonne. That's the one that it's probably most visible, I think. But all the bayous and getting around the entire parish and making sure that all of our waterways are to the standard that we deserve is very important to us. And that's something we're in the process of working on to understand, whether it's a little skim here, a full dredge there, plus cleaning out, trees and trash and everything. We want to make sure that our residents have full access to every bayou in the parish.
And making sure that we're doing our job as residents as well when it comes to ditches being clean, and your team, with drainage, and making sure that they're having good flow without a whole lot of blocking. We talk about those things as well. We can do our job in preventing trash from getting into those waterways as well, much like the efforts that were done at the mall, the nettings that were done, the coverings that were done. We can do that in our own backyards to stop that.
Yeah, I mean, it's I talk about it all the time. We all pass by the blighted building, the paper on the ground, the person that maybe needs help, and we all need to each take our part, have ownership, have our own responsibility to do our part to help make our parish a more beautiful place.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, we talk about it all the time about people that come down here to experience this. This just really makes a bigger stamp, if you will, of approval on our area and how beautiful it is. We know what it's like to live down here, but sometimes I think we forget about just kind of taking care of our own backyard, if you will, taking care of the people that need it, picking up that trash, going that extra mile. My dad made a comment years ago about, it shows great parenting when we teach a child to pick up a basket or a shopping cart in a parking lot, or to pick up a piece of paper. That's great parenting, and it starts there. And kids kind of do that the rest of their lives if they learn that.
Yes, sir. And I just went to Southdown and spoke to some students, and they were talking about having more trash receptacles. So it was cool to hear students of a first grade level talking about trash and litter and how that the parish should do better at that. And so I was like, we're doing a lot to address that. So
wow. So we're going to take some 6-year-old ideas, right, and listen to that. And do something about it. I'm excited about that. We're going to talk about that in the next segment, actually. Some of the things that are being done that we're already put in place, right? That you didn't have to make anything up to the kids. Like,
right.
Not that I'm going to work on that, but we're already doing that,
Right.
Those things. And I love that idea because, quite frankly, I love the fact that they're thinking about those things, right? It talks about good parenting. It talks about good teaching, and a lot of those things that people kind of come down here for. We're well known for excellent teaching, well known for beautification, and now we're doing all of those things. Some great job being done with that, and so excellent work through Mardi Gras and figuring out maybe some things that we do next year even, how to do that better. You'll be able to stick around with us?
Yes, sir.
All right, we appreciate that. All right, guys, Jason's going to stick around with us to talk a little bit more about what's happening here in the great parish of Terrebonne. You do that as well. We'll be right back right here on Bayou Time.
Today's social media segment is brought to you by Alford and Associates for all of your insurance needs. CIS, Cardiovascular Institute of the South, the highest quality cardiovascular care available. Barker Honda, the Barker family tradition of quality.
Hello and welcome back to this edition of Bayou Time. Again, your host, Keith Weissite, licensed clinical social worker with Terrebonne Home Care. Very glad you're joining us, however you may be joining us, and very glad to have with us our new parish president, Jason Bergeron.
Yes, sir.
I'm glad you're back. Jason, there's so many different things that are happening. Let's talk a little bit about the downtown programs that are going on.
So we're actually launching a program called Bayou Revival.
Right.
And we're saying that we're meaning all bayous, actually, not just downtown.
Right.
So we did a video spot on Facebook and released that. And it just talks about different ways people can do their part to help make sure that we keep litter out and we do everything we can to make sure that our bayous are healthy. So we feel it's important to launch a campaign like Bayou Revival to make sure people understand how important it is to the parish that we do some things. And so we're excited. Yeah,
so that's going to be Bayou Terrebonne, so all of the bayous in the parish that come through, Pastor, including Intercoastal.
Yes, sir.
So the Bayou Revival program. So we'll look for updates on that.
Yes.
But we're also seeing this efforts about trash cans and also about some of these homes that that needed to be demolished and kind of working on those and getting those. Let's talk a little bit about the progress that's been made there.
So it's exciting. We just got awarded a grant from Keep Louisiana Beautiful.
Right.
To put 10 trash cans out. And so we're spreading those trash cans out. I think you guys have some pictures here. So again, making awareness, making sure people know that let's take an opportunity to either keep the trash in your vehicle or put it into a can, especially when you're coming out of the restaurants and bars and everything else. So it's right there. Take that extra few steps to put it in there. And so we're excited to work with Keep Louisiana Beautiful and our Keep Terrebonne Beautiful and our parish working together, a great relationship.
Yeah. But one of those things, it's kind of interesting. It's just that focus that I have. If I have stuff in my car, like I got to get it out of my car. And so if it's too big to go in my small trash can, which I empty pretty often, I'll just stop and pull over. And I do that right outside of here at HTV. And I'm glad that we have the receptacles that we do. The receptacles that are pretty close by. And now we have 10 extra ones in our area from this program. Just find a way to do that. Put your trash in there. And if you see trash, pick it up. It's pretty simple. We also have some beautification as it relates to some of the recovery that we're still doing from Ida and some of those homes that have really needed to be given some, or buildings, or that needed some attention that are now focusing and getting some attention.
Yeah, our nuisance and abatement crew's been working hard. I think we currently have 400 structures in the program as far as something being derelict or something we need to address. Between a few different demolition programs we have, we've actually, between the parish, residents, and FEMA, probably demolished about 150 properties or buildings that are in derelict. So we're working through that on a regular basis, and we're actually looking at some opportunities to supplement, to move these properties faster through the system and have the council meet and cover more properties, because right now they're doing about 50 a quarter. So we're going to look to do more than that and really work on getting that list down. And getting those properties that are derelict or things that need to be addressed.
It's really interesting too, Jason. I know you do it driving around the parish for work for me, for you as parish president. It's interesting to see one of those buildings that we knew were going to be torn down. Once they are, it's amazing to be able to see how that kind of comes to life, if you will. It makes the area look cleaner. It looks different. It's strange at first, but so much better. And all the problems that come with it, right?
Right.
So those rundown houses, we prevent people from squatting there, or prevent, animals or those kinds of things. It's just good all around to be able to have those removed.
Yeah, it's that broken window concept. Like when a window's broken, people just seem to care a little bit less. And so we want to make sure that less windows are broken, the grass is not as high. And we're looking to do some things with our nuisance and abatement ordinance to make sure that we can hold property owners accountable, but also set up our department for success. And we've had conversations with that department saying, what are some things that we could do differently or better? And they've come forth with ideas, and we are going to move forward. So it's really a process. And, look, it's something that probably can never happen fast enough.
Right.
But we are working very diligently to make sure that we get it addressed. And I tell people, if you see a property, don't assume we know. Report it. Let us know.
Right.
This property has got an issue, and that we could do something with it. And that's, derelict vessels, that's derelict automobiles. I mean, all those issues, grass, trash. Those are all issues that don't assume that we know. Make sure you please reach out to us and just make sure we know. And once we know, then we can hold people accountable.
Yeah. We're what day are we, or where are we approaching for your administration now?
We are a few days shy of 4 months.
4 months, right?
May 8th would be the anniversary of being inaugurated. So
right
around 120 days there. And so I do love my job every day, and the opportunity to move our parish forward. I had a calling from God to run, and I feel like I am doing his work every day and providing our residents with opportunities and our businesses with opportunities for us to all be more successful.
I love it. As we close out now, anything in particular, parish-wide, anything else you kind of want to let people know we've got going on? Or, I know our downtown, it's hard to mention these things without thinking about the festivals and the quality of festivals downtown. I was telling friends, it's almost like a reunion for me every weekend. So much going on as we finish up this spring season of festivals.
I tell you, when I brag on our region, I talk about how, you give us a cause and we're going to get together, we'll throw an event, we're going to raise some money. And so you look at Louisiana's first Twin Fest we just had. This weekend we have Louisiana's largest Star Wars festival. Right. So there's no shortage of things to do. I think you need to get involved and if you see a problem, pull your bootstraps up and help get it fixed. And that's what you kind of talked about earlier.
Right,
when I see a problem, it's like, what can we do to resolve this? And as I drive around the parish, I'm constantly taking pictures and sending them to our team to let them know of things that we need to address and make sure it's on the list. And if it's on the list, what is the time frame and what is the return? And, working on a priority system for things, whether they're urgent, high, medium, low, and what the turnaround times for those kind of things. And we're going to start sharing that stuff more publicly.
Okay. We appreciate it. Jason, I always appreciate your time. Thanks for what you do, and thanks for leading our parish and moving us forward. We appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate our residents giving me the opportunity to do this.
Very cool. All right, guys, that'll do it for this particular segment and this Bayou Time. Don't go anywhere. A lot more local programming right here on HTV.